China from Canada wanted to know, who did you become the closest to on the set?
That's a very interesting question. There's a. I'll give you a little bit of sort of background to what happened when we were on set. You may have heard this from the other guys, but it was very much run like the military, and I, with so many people coming and going, it's the only way it would have worked. If they'd allowed actors to be actors, then we never would have got anything done. So they ran it like the military, and a lot of people who came in later than the original guys, they very purposely, the guys who the military advisors very purposefully, said, treat them like replacements. They're replacements. Treat them like replacements. They haven't been to boot camp. They haven't done episodes 1 or 2 or 1, 2, and 3, so you treat them like replacements. So a lot of them got a hard time, and eventually, they were, accepted into the group at large. But I was very unusual because of the relationship that Babe has with Bill Guarnere. And so when I first arrived on set, the first person who came and spoke to me, in fact, it was just when I went in for costume fitting they'd started filming, but I hadn't started. And I went in, and when I arrived, somebody said, hey, how you doing? Who are you? I said, I'm Robin, I'm playing Babe Heffron. They went, really? Oh, hold on. And they went and got Frank John Hughes. And Frank, being Frank, or being Bill, did exactly as Bill did and took me under his wing, and so kind of nursed me through that early time when it was kind of... and so Frank and I were very, very close during the filming. Inevitably, post-filming, the guys that I'm closest to are the guys who live in Britain, because they're the people that, I see the most. I mean, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I had to miss Nolan Hemming's 40th birthday party because I was working. I just couldn't go. But Nolan I've kept in touch with because he's a very good friend. I think probably either Nolan or Michael Fassbender. Michael and I have a very similar sense of humour, and I don't know. Yeah, we just hit it off, Michael and I. And so we really kept in touch, regularly, and I mean sort of weekly, fortnightly, monthly.
If you guys have this matched sense of humor, is it like burning bugs with a magnifying glass and giggling, or are we talking dark humor here? What kind of humor? What is your humor?
That's an interesting question. What is my humor? What is my humor? I don't know. We just enjoy similar things. I mean, I guess mainly going out and talking a load of rubbish to each other and drinking quite a lot.
Well, now is it a manly kind of humor where you talk junk on each other, or is it a funny kind of humor where you act like goofballs?
I think yes, more the goofball kind of thing.
Yeah, see, that's my favorite. You can sit down and just say gibberish to each other, and you giggle like school lads, and then you're off and running on the next topic.
Lots of giggling.
Just to get back to Babe's best friend, Bill Guarnere, do you think, Ross wanted to know from Airdrie, I'm not going to say that right, Airdrie?
No, that's right, Airdrie.
He wanted to know, how much do you think Frank John Hughes resembled him?
Frank was uncanny. He really was uncanny. Not only I don't know how much in real life he doesn't actually look like Bill. But when he just sets his face a certain way, and Bill's got a very slight backbite as well, and Frank would set his jaw, and when he set his jaw, just suddenly you were just like, wow, okay, it's it's Bill Guarnere. there's no mistaking that. And also Frank just immersed himself in that part. I mean, he's one of those actors that just is completely. I hesitate to call him a method actor because I don't know if he would call himself that. But it's in that ballpark. He's cut from that kind of cloth where he completely immerses himself. I mean, I'm fairly certain. I don't know if he's ever called me. Has he ever called me Robin? He probably has. but not that often, you know. I'm Babe, and he's you know, and that's. I mean, I'm sure he probably has called me Robin, but there are guys on that set that he worked with for those 9 months that we would. I mean, it might, you know, some of them he wouldn't even know their real names, you know. They were their character. That's who they were, and that's all he needed to know, you know. I remember him getting pulled up by the weapons guy. The weapons guy had. He went in to get his weapon one day, and the guy gave him a rubber weapon. You know, if you weren't actually firing your weapon that day, they would give you the option sometimes. They say, because they were heavy. The M1s were heavy, and the Thompsons as well. And they'd say, you know, do you want a rubber weapon? And they look exactly the same, but they're about a tenth of the weight. You know, but Frank he always wanted his real weapon, you know. You had your own weapon. You gave in your cards. You got the same weapon every day. They were all numbered. Frank got handed this. He got handed this rubber weapon. He said, "What's going on?" He says, "You're not getting a weapon." The weapons master said. And Frank said, "Why?" He says, "You scratched your name into the butt of the weapon." And Frank said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You scratched your name into that. You vandalized the weapon." He says, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I haven't scratched my name." He says, "Look, it's here, Frank. You know, you obviously got interrupted before you finished putting Frank. You got Fran here." And he said, What are you talking about? Do you have any idea what we're doing here? Who these people are? Do you know, I'm Bill Guarnere. My wife is Fran. Bill scratched Fran into the butt of his rifle. Oh. You know, and he was just, you know, and Frank, you know, obviously he was very, very, he was upset. He was about this, you know, because the idea that he'd vandalized, you know, I'm Bill, you know, and that's the way he did it, you know. It was all or nothing with Frank. It was incredible. It really was incredible. Well,
and taking over the persona of somebody who, you know, like you and Frank did, of somebody who's still living, it had to have been a little scary to try and take over this the role of somebody who's actually done what you're preparing to do.
It is because you have a huge responsibility. I mean, I know, and I'm not going to say who, but I know there are some actors who have been given a hard time by the people that they represented, and or by relatives of theirs, because they didn't feel that they didn't do them justice, or felt they misrepresented them, or showed them in a bad light, or, you know, because, you know, not, you know, we all have our own families, and you forgive or you overlook or you're unaware of your own family's failings, you know. And so when someone else portrays them and shows their bad side as well as their good sides, it might not be something you want to see or are necessarily aware of. So it was daunting, but it was, as I say, after the first time speaking to Babe, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, because it was, as I said, he was so relaxed about the whole thing.